Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. It is April 29th, 2018, and this is Tucson New Thought. We are here on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning. I want to let you know I'm coming to you from Southern California because I've driven in for the weekend to spend the weekend with my father. We're going to go see a concert tonight at Walt Disney Concert Hall. So I'm here on a Sunday, but it's such a great pleasure to be able to come and spend some time with you. We are here together as a spiritual community at Tucson New Thought with a vision of creating a world that works for everyone. And that's what is really important to me. And that's why I do these kinds of things, is so that we can come together as a spiritual community, even in a virtual way, to create a world that works for everyone. It is our intention to provide practical tools for spiritual transformation and awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. That's our mission here at Tucson New Thought. And we are here to celebrate community, to celebrate diversity, and to celebrate creativity. That's what it's all about. So to launch us off into some creativity, let's go ahead and launch on over to Via Dia. We're going to be providing some musical inspiration this morning.
Sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. I will share, I will share. I will share, I will share. I will share, I will share this love.
So just take that in. Let's just take a moment to reflect on the sacred nature of everything. Everything is sacred. Everything is part of the infinite wholeness that we call God, we call this loving presence, we call love. Everything that exists is a part of it, and that's the truth. So to provide some spiritual reading and some treatment for us this morning, it's such a pleasure to welcome today to our broadcast Reverend Steph St. Amand, who is one of the co-spiritual directors at the Center for Spiritual Living, West Kootenay, up in British Columbia. And she's a very good friend of mine, and I'm so grateful that she's decided to be with us today. So take it over, Steph.
Good morning, Tucson New Thought community. I am Steph St. Amand. I'm the co-founding spiritual director of the Center for Spiritual Living, West Kootenay. And I'm so blessed and honored to be talking to you right here, right now. What a gift this is, that we live in a world that we have this ability to be inseparable. And so in that, I'm so blessed that Reverend Jonathan has asked me to talk to you today a little bit, from way up here in Castlegar, British Columbia. Just another example how technology allows us to be without space, without borders, without boundaries. And so in that, I'm so delighted to be talking to you today about living love and loving life. When I think about this topic, I think about the beauty of all the masters and the teachers that have come forward in our lifetime and in lifetimes before us. And who comes to mind so sharply with living love is our divine expression that we know as Mother Teresa. When she says that we belong to one another, that really resonates with who I am. And this whole topic about living love and loving life, this is a divine emanation and reflection of that which is Spirit living through each and every one of us. I think also of that divine presence that is a lighthouse. You know, when you see a lighthouse and it's just standing there in the fullness of its truest nature, which is to stand in its bricks and mortar and to stand in its power and presence and to shine one thing, to shine its light out into the world in absolute perfection, making sure that everything around it is safe, is secure, has light upon it so that we can see and know where it is we are going. And that lighthouse shines itself so brightly, so perfectly, without judgment. It doesn't choose to put its light on one thing and not another. Just like that, I think that we should love. As we live that living expression of love, that we are the lighthouse. We are that standing foundation of love unconditionally, that we can shine our lights on everyone around us and become that place within ourselves that is love, that is joy, that is the living example of those beautiful and wonderful teachers that have come before us, that say things like we belong to each other. In that, I know and trust and have faith that the more that we love, the more that we express who we are as our truest nature, as we stand in our truth, we are that living embodiment of a life that is fulfilled, a life that is perfect, a life that is in alignment with that which is our highest and best self. And so as we love ourselves, as we love life, that expression of wholeness is just made known through everything that we are. And our lives fill up, you know? And so in that expression of oneness, in that expression of love, and that expression of standing in our foundation of living love and loving life, let us join together in affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment and recognize and affirm this for ourselves together. So let's just take a deep cleansing breath together. Centering that thought that we belong to one another. Centering in that thought that we are standing firm, shining our lights all around us without judgment, without hindrance, without blockage. We simply know and trust right now that we are that living, breathing embodiment of Spirit. And that Spirit is infinite and endless. So let us just know together right now as I recognize that there is one power, one presence, one infinite source and supply of all that is good. This divine creative intelligence has woven itself into the very fiber of absolutely everything. So I know right now that it is deeply indwelling within me. And so as I pour forth my light, as I pour forth my love, as I pour forth my experience and expression of that which is life's good, I know that I am open to receive all of this right back to me. I am open to receive and to know and to trust that as I stand in the strength and the power and the presence of that divine intelligence, that I am living love right now. Everything I do is guided and led by love. Every choice I make is guided and led by love. Everything I am is an embodiment, an expression, an outpouring and outpicturing of a divine love that is never ending. It is limitless. As I outpour this divine expression right now, I know that my life is filled to the brim and overflowing with all that is life's good. I know that as I express love, life fills up within me. All of life is worth living, and so I recognize Spirit in every moment. As I breathe this in, I know this is the truth for each and every one of us, that we are not separate, that as we live love, life is living us right now. Life is ever expressing, ever fulfilling, ever moving and flowing and having its way with our moments, with our breath, with our expressions right now. There is no greater thing than this love, this joy. And so in that I simply rest assured in my truth, rest knowing that that presence is right now present within me and all around me. And so I give thanks for this. So grateful for this right here, right now. I relax and trust and know and have faith that Spirit is already working for my highest and greatest good, because love is expressing through me, and love is the healer of all things. And so knowing that, trusting that, being that right now, I simply release my word, knowing it is already so, knowing it is already a perfect, whole emanation, reflection of that which is good. I simply rest in that knowing right now. And we affirm this together by saying, and so it is. And so it is.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Drop the beat, dear. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world, and a bold world for me, and I'm feeling good. Stars when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of a pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling
Oh, thank you, Olivia and Nadia, for that. Really, really special. So today what I wanted to talk about is really the concept of love, the idea of love, and what does it really mean, and how can we live more loving and a more fulfilled life through love. Now, one of the first things I want to address is this. New Thought can get a bad rap. New Thought gets a bad rap sometimes because there are people who cannot believe that we can be so happy all the time, right? I mean, we're pretty happy people, and you get the feedback from people that says, oh my gosh, you're so positive all the time, but can't you see what's happening in the world? Can't you see can't you see all of the ills of the world that are unfolding? Can't you see all the horrible things that are going on in the world? And the truth is, yes, we see those things. You know, we see things, we experience things that are not so great as people who are involved in the New Thought philosophy. But here's where we differ, and here's why people think we're so positive, and here's why people, sometimes misunderstand what that means. Ultimately, what that means to be a New Thought is to be able to approach those things in life, those quote-unquote horrible things that happen in the world, that maybe happen in our own personal lives, with a different sensibility. We don't deny that those things exist. There are horrible things in the world. There are horrible things that can happen to us. What we do is we refute any sense of power that those things out there may seemingly have over us. What we do is we don't allow ourselves to be overrun in any way by those things, and to let us be so deeply affected in such an adverse and negative way that becomes the way our life unfolds. What we do is we see it, we recognize it, we deny the power that it has over us, and we understand that there is one thing that can change from this point moving forward all of those horrible things. What is that one thing? That one thing is love. Love. Love is all there is. And so, really, today is all about living love. Stepping into that space of truly understanding what love is and allowing ourselves to unfold from that point of view. When we talk about living love, we're talking about living a paradigm that is an unstoppable force for good in the universe. The only power greater than anything out there is the power of love. And so, what is required to live a life of love is spiritual discipline. And that's what New Thoughters have committed themselves to doing. That's what we have committed ourselves to doing by being involved in the philosophy of New Thought and saying, hey, this is something that works for me. We are saying that we are living a life based on spiritual discipline where our go-to is love. So if love is the great power, then what I really want to address is this idea of conditional versus unconditional love. Because we can get confused sometimes in terms of what love is. We frequently, and because we've been kind of raised to believe this, we believe that love in some way is conditional. Now, what does that mean? We've been taught to think that we have to earn or deserve love before we can get it. That's what it means to be conditionally loving. And conversely, what that does is if we've been taught that we have to earn or deserve love from outside ourselves or from out there, then we may also have the belief that we need to have other people earn or deserve our love. Get it? See what I'm doing here? This is a learned behavior. I want to be very clear. We have learned this behavior. It is not our natural state of being. Our natural state of being is to love. I mean, if you think about a baby just loves. A baby does not have conditions on that love, it just loves. But as that baby grows and as it's experiencing the world and seeing the things and having the experiences from family, the experiences of a community, the experiences of a culture, it begins to think that love is conditional. And we've all gone through this. I went through this, and it took me a while to step back and say, you know what? My love does not need to be conditional, and I don't need to live in conditional love in any way. So where did we learn this behavior? We learned it everywhere. We learn this behavior everywhere. It is a norm in our culture. We are conditioned essentially to compete. And so what we are doing is we are competing for love. Does that make any sense? Conditional love is a competition. Unconditional love is not a competition. It's simply being love. It's a natural state of being. When we begin to recognize this and realize this in our own lives, when we let go of that need for that competition to obtain love and recognize that love is what and who we are, that's when life really begins to transform. That's when we can look at all of the horrible things in the world and understand that at the core, it is love that will correct and move forward. Because the nature of love is to create. And so we're always going to be unfolding in that form of creation of love. Now, love, we may have also come to believe, is going to bring us happiness. And they're actually very closely aligned, love and happiness. And what I will also say is that happiness is not conditional either. We've just come to believe that it is. Happiness is actually our natural state of being. No one has found happiness out there. Now, a lot of people think they have, but no one actually is living a life of happiness by anything that has happened out there in the world of form. It's almost an addictive kind of response that we're having. We're addicts to love, we're addicts to happiness. The other day, just this past week, just past Wednesday night, I was at the Pima County Fair. So, if you've ever gone to a county fair, and there are carnival rides and there are games and there's lots and lots of really, really greasy food and lots of sugary food and things like that. Everything that, it's a fun experience. And when we jump into that, we may get that adrenaline rush. We may get that rush of like, oh, this feels so good. It's so much fun, right? But it's not lasting. Just like we can look for happiness outside of ourselves, if we find it outside of ourselves, ultimately it's not lasting. It's an addictive experience. And when we decide that we don't need to have all of that stuff out there, when we recognize and know and decide that what we get to do is step forth as love, as happiness, boy, it changes everything. We're actually the ones who bring happiness to our experiences. We don't derive happiness from our experiences. So that flash of pleasure is just an addictive response. And if I'm going to encourage anything today, I'm going to say, start to move past that flash of pleasure, that seeking for that flash of pleasure. Start to recognize that we can live inside that pleasure all the time when we recognize and know that love is an inside job, that happiness is an inside job. So let's begin to destroy that myth in our own minds. Let's destroy that myth that love or happiness is derived from outside sources. Love is an inside job. And to love unconditionally means that we have taken away all the limits that we've placed on love. That means that every single person we encounter, we must love. Every single person. Whether we feel that person has caused ill in our lives, whether we feel that that person has burned us in any way, we must approach with love. Because that's the healing factor of this universe. That's the creative factor of this universe. Everything that exists is born of love. Love is not a reward for good behavior. It's our natural state of being. Love is not a commodity to be bartered for. It is something to be given freely and nurtured. Love is the creative force, and we cannot live without it. And we don't have to. We don't have to live without love. It's who we are. So let's tap in and allow it to flow out without restricting it. Imagine the whole world doing this. It would change everything. That's what living love is. And when we live love, we begin to love our life. That's the truth. It will change everything. Love changes everything. And we get to be the ones, those of us who are involving ourselves in this philosophy and deciding that love is the way, we get to be the way showers for all of humanity. So are you willing to be a way shower today? That's the question. If you're willing to be a way shower, then I encourage you to do just that. Be love. Namaste. And so, with that, take a breath and relax right where you are. Just know that you are love, and that love is this creative force, and that all that unfolds is a perfect expression and example of love. And it is in love that I invite you to step up into giving to this organization. We require financial resources to be able to offer our inspirational source to you. And what I would like to encourage you to do is participate in the act of giving by clicking the donate link, which is in the description of our Facebook video. Or if you're watching in the archives, you can click the donate link right here on the Tucson New Thought website. If you haven't visited the Tucson New Thought website, go check it out, tucsonnewthought.org. But I'm so grateful for everything that you've decided to give today, and I'm so grateful that you've decided to invest your time, your talent, and your treasure right here in what it is we have to offer. So, we'll close out today with a breath and a treatment. Grounding ourselves in this understanding. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Relax and know that there is only one power and one presence. There's only one creative resource. Everything that exists is a part of this infinite wholeness. And this infinite wholeness, which we call by many names, we call it God, we call it infinite source, we call it the universal presence, we call it by many things. But today, I recognize and know that this infinite source is love. Love is all there is. Love is creating from itself, for itself, to express itself. And this is who and what we are. Each and every one of us is a perfect individualization of love. We are the love that is expressing right here and right now. Each and every one of us, wherever we are watching this in the world, we are love. And knowing this and allowing this, I simply let love take hold and trust in the perfect flow of life. That everything that unfolds from this point and every point moving forward is pure, pure love. It is based in love. It is the joy of love. Knowing this to be so, and with a grateful heart, allowing myself to be filled with gratitude for this, I trust and know that this is the way life unfolds. And so I'm grateful, and I simply relax, let go, and allow. Releasing this word as law, I know it is so. And so it is. So thank you for joining me here today. Thank you for allowing me to show you a little bit of the beautiful nature right here in Southern California where I'm spending my weekend. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great, great week. Namaste.